So, welcome to the full moon transmission. I'm so happy you're here. This is the first time I'm doing something in this way with the really dedicated to the full moon and the energy of it, and really bringing in my flair and explaining why me as a psychic medium is, focusing on the moon and the energetics of it and what it brings. And I want to explain a bit of that and bring you into what June is showing us, because as we know, every every month there is a full moon, there is a cycle, there is this process of rebirth, and this is where I find it most beautifully emulates exactly what we go through as humans in this very world. And as a psychic medium, if you didn't know, hello, my name is CJ Manda. I never introduced myself. This is what I do every single time. Just like everyone's in my world. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so excited to get into the material. But I'm CJ Manda. I'm a psychic medium. So not only do I connect with spirit, but I also connect to psychic realms and do psychic work. And I infuse that understanding of energetics and frequency and reading energy into mediumship to really pave a new path for mediums and everyone alike doing this type of work, whether that's psychic work, energy work, so that we can really, for lack of a better word, to up level the game of energetics and what we're doing. And what that looks like in mediumship, most likely, is that instead of being a telephone to the other side, just literally repeating what spirit is saying to us, is that we understand the greater context. We can read the energy just beyond what spirit is telling us. We can look at the scope to see first if it's actually the right spirit that's talking to us. If is it, do they have a level of integrity? Is it truly grandma? Is it truly that person who we're connecting to? We can know this by reading the energetics. And then the other side of this is knowing how to manage one's energy. So if we want to be able to heal, to transform, to grow, we have to inherently understand energetics. It's not enough just to dabble with our emotions and mindset. There's a whole way to live our life, especially for doing this type of work and diving into it. We must know how to manage our energetics. We have to know how to manage our energy and look into that. Okay. So this is the heart and soul of the work that I do, is that it all envelops all of this, the energy, and for whatever walk of life that we choose to take our path on, in this in spirituality, whether that be psychic work or mediumship specifically. But this is where my heart and soul is. So that's what we're going to look at today, and why that connects to the moon and the moon cycles, and why I decided to devote my time to this evening, and something that I would love to come back to every month in a way. I don't know if it'll be this way exactly, if it will be something that is free or part of a membership that might be coming. So this everything is in the works. But for now, this is how I really want to bring it into my world and really offer something for people who really want to understand the energy, what's going on, and not just do an energy read, but to really relate it to how it affects our lives and our impact. So as I bring in the channeling and those themes that are coming in energetically, I really want us to understand how we can apply this to our life now. So if we have questions, not specifically channeling for your specific situation, but if at large you want to understand the energetics or go deeper in what I'm speaking about with the themes, with understanding energy, just let me know in the chat and I will be happy to answer it. I may take time to, finish what I'm talking about and then answer it at the end, or answer it throughout. It would really just depend, but really feel free to write in the chat, to comment on things. I would love this to be conversational, even though there will be a replay with this. I love to have this interaction, because if you have questions, then for whoever sees this replay afterwards, we'll definitely have them as well, and will benefit from that curiosity. Okay. So that is I'm like, is there anything else I need to inform you all of? No, let's get into this. Let's get into this. And then more people being admitted. Here we go. Okay. And so then I want to tell you about, the moon cycles. I want to tell you about how I read the energy. I want to tell you what this specific moon is bringing us, the energy of June and this moon and this cycle. And then I would like to bring us into how it's asking us, like what's it asking us to release right now, what it's asking us to step into and activate. And then I want us to walk through that in this meditation. So the meditation, what it does at the end of this call, is that it allows you to really tune into the energetics of what we need. It may not be a meditation or a way of meditating that you're used to, because the way in which I flow with it is that it's channeled in real time. I have an idea of what it's about because I was channeling earlier today, but it's not a script. It's not something I write out. It's the energy I see. And then I hold that energetics. I allow that energy to flow through you and give you the space to really tune in and tap in. So when you go back to this meditation, you could go do it over and over again, and you can utilize it and really deepen your connection to the meditation and what it'll offer you. And I'll explain what that is and what you can expect from it right before I start the meditation, so that you can understand what the purpose is of it and then how to use it. But the whole point of it is to tap into the energy, because it's one thing to really understand something on a theoretical level, or that it makes sense, it might resonate with you, it might inspire you. But if we don't know how to hold the energy, if we don't know how to tap into that, then it just remains an emotion. It can remain a mindset, it can remain a thought, but we're not truly changing the energetics, and that's where true change happens. Okay. Um, Meditations are so, I feel, underrated in terms of like, if it really truly holds the energy. The way in which I do it is very active, in that it's not this passive meditation. Like, energy is flowing through us. We are tapped in, we are tuned into the frequency, and then the shifts happen almost immediately. So when I allow myself to go there, I always know that it always feels like we're taking time away from work, but I will always, like, my work is my energy. My work is the energy work that I do. Yes, I show up. Yes, I organize. Yes, I plan programs. I do all this stuff. But I know the pure magic that happens of what really unfolds in my life is the time I take to go within. That's where the pure magic happens. If I can plan out my whole schedule, I can do a whole day where I feel like I'm all in the momentum of things. As soon as I take time to tune into me and tune into the energetics, that's when the overflow of magnetism, of things, of opportunities, that's when it comes into my life. Okay. So this is the importance of the energetics, and why I really wanted to offer not just a chat about the full moon, but really offer you that opportunity to tune into the energy. Okay. So before I do that, I will stop the recording. I will restart it so that we could also just have the audio of the meditation, so you don't have to skip through the whole, the first part of this evening together. And you can just have it as an audio, as an MP3. You can have it in your phone. You can listen to it before going to bed. You can do it as you wake up, however you want to do it. Okay. So, the moon, the moon. So the moon is not something, like, I am not an astrologer. I am not someone who knows all the things about the planetary systems, about, like, it's in Sagittarius right now. I was like, I saw something about Aries. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I do not know these things. I love reading about it. I adore it. I am a past human design girl, for those who know human design. Love astrology, love all that stuff. But what I do is I connect to the energetics. So I read the energy. I look at what universe, the cosmos, is showing us in this time, and I see where it presents an opportunity for change and transformation, and the way that I see it through the energetics, and the way in which I know I can hold the energetics for for the collective, for myself and for others. So this is what I'm looking at. And this is where, as well, I love the, because I was looking at all the things, and I just kept on getting, it was so interesting. I was channeling a shape. It was very interesting. I was channeling a shape. I don't even know how to explain that. And I was looking forever online. I'm like, what is the shape? I don't know what the shape is. And I realized I channeled a shape, a form. I keep on doing this like a circle because it has all these designs inside of it. Didn't find it anywhere. I even used ChatGPT, which is like, we don't use ChatGPT to replace channeling ever. But I'm like, what is this that I'm channeling? I don't get this. And it was very unique. It was so beautiful. And then so I channeled more in the meaning of it. I didn't have anyways a meaning for, because it doesn't exist. It's something I channeled, and I loved it. And it really brought in this energy of the cosmos, and my connection to the cosmos, and our connection to the cosmos. And then when I was saying, how do I bring this to my community in such a powerful way, I saw that we can begin with our connection to the moon and to those cycles and to the cycles of rebirth, and how this will bring in such a beautiful change for everyone. We're reading the energy. And it's so powerful, especially in this time. I mean, I know, like, just reading the information, the strawberry moon is like the closest that we'll ever have it, to the earth, and the way that we'll see it. I think the next time we'll have it this close to the earth is in another 18.6 years, something like that. So that I find super fascinating. We can feel it in the energetics, the potency of it, the way in which it's helping us rise into our most truest self and to really understand what those patterns that are no longer serving us are. But the moon allows us to really recognize it influences those inner forces. That's my sister. It's allowing us to look at those inner forces that help us to transform and to grow. And what I love about the moon is that it really resembles these inner forces of our shadows. It really explains the duality within us. And this is often what many of us and humans naturally avoid. We avoid the shadows, we avoid the discomfort. We may see it, we may recognize it, but ultimately we may run away from it. We avoid this very duality that is the key to this explosive expansion. And when we think of expansion, we often think of it as this thing that we are like as if we're embodying something that is beyond ourselves, that is not us. And I don't want us to see expansion this way. I want us to understand expansion for what it is and that it's just amplifying all of that purest part of who we are, of ourselves, rather than disconnecting from ourselves to expand into something other than because this is not worthy. And that's not the case. And this is what I'm seeing is that we're avoiding the duality. So, in connecting to the energetics of the moon and the duality that it offers, to look at our inner forces, to look at that shadow work, to look at the things that, may make us feel uncomfortable, it really allows us that quickest timeline, that quickest path to expansion, to be in the truest parts of ourselves and to live with and to truly embody that duality because that duality is key. It's embracing all of it. And I know we say this very much of like, duality, we'll say it, but then when we live it, we're like, oh my goodness, this is what duality means. It means that I can literally feeling like I'm breaking down on all these levels and failing at all these things as a human and going through all of this, hardship in my healing journey, and I still deserve to thrive. I still deserve to thrive. I still deserve to have a thriving business. I still deserve to be of service to others. I still deserve to receive things. I still deserve to receive abundance. So this is the duality we want to hold, where we say it as a cliche word in the spirituality realms of, yeah, of course we live in duality. Of course we don't know the light without the dark. But then what does it mean to actually live that? To live that means that we can actually allow ourselves to receive, to hold, to expand, to thrive, while we may feel like we're breaking down on all other levels in our life. And to hold that is next level in our power stuff. It is beautiful. And this is what the moon cycle keeps on bringing back energetically to me. So this is why I'm not relying on astrology. Like I don't know the Jupiters and the Mars and all those kind of things, even though I love it and I have apps and all that kind of stuff. But I rely on the energy and what I channel and what I see within the energetics. And this is the most powerful work, whether it's through understanding that duality through the moon cycles, or whether it's because I'm channeling it for you and I see within you what is that direct line to, let go of X, Y, and Z so that we can expand and thrive into this. This is what it'll look like. And duality, like the way that I see this expansion, and this is what June is asking us, like this strawberry moon is asking us to lean into, is really redefining that relationship with duality because it's a month of expansion. It's a month where you may feel propelled to lean into action, like aligned actions. You may have this burning desire to all of a sudden get things done or to feel like there's something you have to be doing right now, or now's the time you finally want to, you know, me with my expressions. I'm like, click the switch. I'm like, that's not it. Flip the switch and really dive into that project that you want to do. But then we're kind of stuck. We're like, great, I have the ambition, I have this inner stir, I have this desire, I just want to go ahead and do this. But now I'm not really recognizing how to do that. Like where's the steps? And should I do this? And all this doubt comes into the surface and it's a beautiful, beautiful unfolding. But if we don't understand what's going on, it can be quite intimidating or it could be quite overwhelming. So this is where this activation or these type of seances or evenings, or me speaking to it and channeling it, if we have that awareness of what we'll be traversing, of what we'll be going through, then it allows us to really accept and surrender to this and understand what it's leaning to. So when you feel like a whole wave of stuff is just coming at you, you know why it's there and what for. And so it makes that awareness, it allows us to really surrender to the pace of it. So I see that expansion not as we're letting go of, and there's a part of letting go, but it's not I'm discarding or I'm kind of disowning that past version of myself so that I can be this whole new version of me. Rather, it's redefining the relationship you have with that inner duality. Okay. Super important. And what this can look like is that let's use an example of, let's say, sadness. Okay. We see sadness and we are looking for peace. So this is a duality that we may hold within us that at times we can feel and lean into that peace, and at other times we will feel that sadness. So, what the evolution of this type of duality can look like is that as we're holding both, maybe the first step will be that I can accept that I'm sad. And at the same time, I can be open to receive peace at like moderate levels. Maybe that would be a first level of that duality, of leaning into it. Maybe another level of embodying this duality would be I'm going to not only accept the sadness, I'm going to feel the fullness of it. I'm going to allow myself to go there and feel the fullness of sadness, knowing that it will not keep me in the spiral. It will not make me a bad person. It will not make me feel like I am, beholden to this emotion that I can never escape. But for right now, I'm going to allow myself to feel the fullness of it because it deserves that attention. It's there for a reason. While at the same time, I can hold the duality of being able to create space for something lighter, for something more, inviting peace in a different way by creating a bigger space for it. And then afterwards, you might create this another level again of another relationship with that duality, and that you're witnessing it all from a greater perspective, that you not only can surrender to it, accept it, feel it on all its levels, but now you welcome it in and invite it in to see what needs to be released, what is asking to be looked at, what is how it's asking for us to lean into it specifically, not by being overwhelmed and stuck in a cycle of it, but truly witnessing it for what it actually needs. And then being able to, in that duality, embody that void with a complete understanding of how it is that you want to connect to peace, right? So this is like a whole evolution of the duality. We're still holding both of these things of the sadness and of the peace, but we're just creating this evolution of what that relationship actually looks like. So we are expanding because we are not just ridden with this sadness that we don't understand how to process or be with or be in or relate to. Now we've created an expansion where we can hold it in a whole new way. We have a whole new relationship to it. Okay. So this is what the moon cycle is offering us to look into. Okay. And we are looking into this as well. So the moon really allows us, and this is what I love about it so much, is that, it offers these layers of truth in this way. In the same way that I explained that duality, it offers layers of truth of what to connect to within us at different levels, not just for us, but create this. It's an opportunity for us to create a different perspective, a greater perspective of the collective for the individuals, anything energetically on a universal level. Like it creates a greater perspective of truth. So instead of seeing something, it's not like, as you're living something, you may, not see the peripherals of what's going on. And as you create this greater view of what's going on, we have that clarity. We have a different perspective. We have a different relationship to it. And so the moon provides us with that, or the energetics of it. It's the frequency of it that allows us to tap into a new truth, a truth that has always existed. It's not like we're creating a new truth. It's just that our consciousness gets to expand as we allow ourselves to go deeper in the duality and understand and have the awareness and accept with what's going on internally in as much as what's going on collectively. And so the moon is asking us and allowing us to tap into that soul connection, which is, I start with kind of like the midline. It's like that mini whisper inside of you. It is that direct line of your intuition to something higher, to your soul. Your soul is your direct connection to yourself and your intuitive nature. So this is that beautiful whisper coming within, telling you what those next steps are. And it doesn't always feel expansive because maybe those next steps is that little whisper telling you to do that very thing that you are terrified of doing, but is in full alignment of you. So getting to know the voice of your soul by connecting to this very frequency of the moon and the cycles, it's giving us an opportunity, that window to have that direct connection with our soul, which is so important. So many times where, the perfect example that I love to always give is, how do we know that like what our soul is giving us as our direction is the right one? And eventually with time we start tuning in and tapping in, and as we listen and we start seeing how life responds to us, we get an idea for, we start knowing exactly what the voice of our soul sounds like and what it feels like and how we experience it. But the example that I love to give around this is that, let's say that you're on a highway and your soul, it could be your guides, it could be anything, but this specifically, we're talking about soul because in this month and what the energy is showing us, the soul connection is really important. So let's say that your soul, you get that little whisper and it says, take the exit, take the exit, take the exit. You don't know why, but you take the exit. And then nothing happens. You take the exit off the off ramp and you go off and you find a detour and you go on your way, but you don't know what you avoided. You don't know if you avoided anything. You just have to trust that that was the right action to take. You don't know in that moment when you go off the ramp if you avoided something or not, if that was a clear, tangible cue of connecting to your soul. So this is the level of trust that is being asked to be stepped into with this unknown, with the energetics, with connecting to soul, with connecting to those little whispers, with diving into your shadows, to the duality. It's being able to lean into trust like we've never seen it before, or like you've never experienced it before. We always want this little signier sign, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna do the thing, just give me a sign. And then we'll get a sign. We're like, that's not signier. That's not signy enough. Like, I need something bigger for me to lean into, take a bigger leap before I invest all of my time and take a leap of faith and start a new business or do this thing or end this job or end this relationship. I just need one more sign. I just need a signier one. And this is where it's asking you to really tune in, come into center and take those big leaps of faith, not because we're going to be irresponsible or just, rip off a band-aid and see what happens. We're leaning into this true trust with self. Love that. By the way, if you have questions throughout or if you have comments, put it in the chat for all those who came afterwards. Not taking like personal channeled messages, but if anything about this needs to be clarified or you want to go deeper, if you want to understand, then please feel free to write questions or comments or feedback in the chat. Okay, for all those who came a bit later. So the moon gets to, I see this as the moon gets to provide us with this specific intel. Like it is this additional, it holds the frequency of cycles of transformation, of change, of incremental changes, of influences of like the inner forces of nature, of the world. And this just gets to be so beautiful in terms of the specific intel that we get to understand the nature of transformation and change, of growth. And this truly spearheads it. This is where most people would want to avoid it. They're like, oh, I'd rather just lean into the expansion part without truly feeling all of the yucky stuff. Like, can we just skip it? I would just like to sit on a mountain and cross my legs and meditate and feel all the vibrations going through my body and just have all the activations just work itself out and purge out all the bad stuff that we don't like, right? Like that's what we would like. And then we avoid the shadows. Whereas really coming and creating that relationship, not just with duality, but with the shadows within that. So when we change that relationship, we change the whole game. We spearhead our path to that level of expansion. And that's why I love the frequency of the moon, because it invites us to do that very thing that we don't want to do, but we want to see the beauty of it. We want to understand our relationship to it. This is where a lot of my private clients will know how we experience this, how we feel this, how I invite everyone to do this is that I will often, if it's not every day, almost every day, or whenever is necessary, I will invite my shadows to the table. I will invite the shadows in. I will invite them in. I will look at them if it's my inner child, if it's, just a fear that I'm feeling, if it's something that I need to look at, and it's like whatever it is, I invite it in. And instead of seeing it as this gloom and doom, like I need to look at what's wrong with me, or I need to look at, what do I have to expel from me, all the stuff that's not good, so that I can lean into something that is good. That's not how I look at it. And I don't see healing as heavy. I see it as this opportunity to, like, how can I grow more? How can I understand myself more? How can I bring in this awareness? Does not mean that the emotions that come with it aren't uncomfortable. Sometimes it's, I don't know how to sit in my skin or be type of discomfort. But the more that we create this relationship with what that nature looks like of healing, of the shadow journey, the more that we create that, we expedite our growth at new levels. And this includes that as soon as we tune in, tap into this, and really create that journey, this is what expedited everything for me in terms of my psychic gifts, my energetic mastery, everything that I've expedited in a short period of time. It's because of this very work that allowed me to get there. It's grown my consciousness, like expanded my consciousness, because we could only help, we could only channel from the level to which we have healed, to the level of which we've expanded in our consciousness. I may be able to channel things, but sometimes, like, I just don't have the language for it. I can't quite, it's just on the periphery. And then once I do healing work, and once I've expanded, and once I see life from a new perspective, wow, all of a sudden that thing that seemed almost out of reach or on the periphery of what I'm trying to channel just drops in with pure clarity, and I know exactly where it's meant to land. Funny how that happens, right? So this is what I want people to understand, especially with the frequency of the moon, is to know exactly how it's offering that level of expansion, and the beauty of creating that different relationship to our healing work, to the shadows we connect with, and really see it as parts of us that are trying to help us. Your shadow aspects are not there to harm you. They're not there to hold you back. They may hold you back, but they're not there to hold you back. Ultimately, they're there to protect you. They're only there to protect you. They would not be there if you didn't let them. As in terms of, like, they would not be leading the show if you didn't let them, if you didn't think that they were better off to lead the show, if you had that confidence and power within you, to know that you can, steer the ship, and they can just feel good sitting in the pasture or whatever, the back seat of the car, whatever visual imagery you need for this, then you would, right? But if they're steering, if they're leading the show, okay, well, they need to be seen, and they're trying to protect you. This is for your own good. These are aspects of you in that duality of all that is, and that's pure beauty. That's the part of the human experience. And so when we avoid that, we deny ourselves us. We deny ourselves that pure connection to self, and what that means and what that looks like. We are denying a part of ourself, rejecting ourselves, abandoning ourselves, when we are unwilling to look at and embrace and see the aspects of that duality that exists within us, because each one of us have that duality. No matter how much we've expanded, no matter how enlightened we are, we each hold that duality, because it's part of the human condition. It's part of human nature. It's what we came here on earth to experience, right? So this is what we need to know about that whole cycle, where I invite you to truly embrace that, okay? So the strawberry moon specifically, is really asking us to lean into this, understand what our inner truth is. So the moon in and of itself always does, but this one is really leaning into, it's a year of becoming. Like, that's the word that that my guides are showing me. It's this embodiment year. It's this year of becoming that purest essence of you, and truly leading from that purity. It's not this ego, led type of power that's coming in, although we do see that divide in the world. So right now, as people are, we're living cycles again. This is again, just as astrology, numerology, but I know it's a 9 year, and I know this is a year where cycles are being wrapped up, and that we are asked to, everything that we have gone through, worked through, experienced, healed throughout, the 9 years before, 10 years before, is coming to a head this year, to kind of be like, we're wrapping up this year. So any loose ends is being asked to come to terms now. So you may feel like you have experienced things, that you have already healed things, and those very same patterns and cycles are coming up again, maybe in a different way, maybe in a way that feels lighter or not as intense, but it's still present. It's asking you to go in a deeper level and to really put a bow on all of those elements. So instead of saying like, oh, I already healed this, or I already looked at this, I already know what this is. No, we want you to look at it again through new lenses, through lenses of what is it asking me to become and to step into this year and beyond. Okay. This year and beyond. So the collective, the energetics are rising. We're having that opportunity to up level our vibration, to expand into new energy. But if we're not tuning in and just looking at, we're just looking at the expansion part, we're just looking at what could be instead of really looking at that duality within us, without looking at that pattern and those cycles and what it's showing us within us that we're looking to kind of wrap up and put a bow on. We won't have that, true growth that we're looking for this year if we don't see both parts of it, that both ends and how they're so important. So this is where, and it would give me kind of like, when I channeled on this, it was giving me this imagery, and you may resonate to this because it's a month that is really asking us to tune into soul, but also higher self. And it's a blend of the uniqueness of our energetic signature and everything that it offers and tuning into that truth. That's why the soul is so important right now. And that's why that soul keeps on being brought up, the visual that they keep on giving me, especially within this, energy of the cosmos. It's like thinking of yourself as, the soul, the higher self, really step like in the middle of the universe, at a pinnacle point in this stillness. Yes, energetic signature. Yes. And pinnacle point is, you are the leader. You are you have agency over your own energy and what you're capable of and the power you have within you, not from something that is superior to, just truly connecting to that power within itself. And then you could see yourself almost like threading in all of the energetics, magnetizing what you need for you, threading it in kind of like, a sorcerer of sorts, bringing in that magic and calling in the different frequencies that you specifically need. Doesn't mean you're calling in all the frequencies of the universe. You are threading in what it is that you need and what is it that you're calling for and aligned to. And you have that power to know precisely when to call something in and when not to by having that immense connection to self. So if you could think of that imagery and relate to the power of that. This is the energy of June. And this is why it's talking about aligned action, not because we're trying to like hug all the energies of the universe, but we're truly threading in what it is that we need very specifically, very purposefully, with a very focused intention about what we're calling in. So we're not calling in and getting into action because we're getting into excess. Sometimes the month of June will feel very much like stillness, will feel like a pause, will feel like a shifting all internally. You may not see it tangibly yet, but it'll be shifting all internally, and that will be all the aligned action. It does not mean that we're being passive and waiting things for magnetized to us. This is why we feel that pull to do something, but that pull to do something can be very much calling you to come back to self, come back to center. And your action, your responsibility is to tune into the energy and get that clarity about where that next step must be from tuning into your soul, your guides. However, your connection is made here, but this meditation will help you tune into this and know those next steps and relate to it in your own way. Yeah, it does feel like a pause, right? And we keep hearing, or if you feel into the energy, it feels very active. It feels like it's very momentous. Like there's a lot of momentum. I was like, is that a word? I feel like that's a superhero, momentous. It feels like it's asking us to like pull into something big. And then at the same time, we're kind of paused, like we're behind the curtains. And what are we going to be revealing afterwards? Like there's this interesting duality within the energy, right? So it's asking us to step into this becoming, but it's asking us to get very, very clear. So we're taking one aligned action at a time through this clarity, through this trust, which can feel very uncomfortable because it's asking us to lean into something that you may have never seen before. It's asking for a new level of leadership too. This is a huge theme in the month of June. This is where things of like all these cliche things, this FOMO, what you may be seeing online, everything kind of, what we think is working conventionally and what seems to be, everything just kind of out there. We just seem to be like it's an over stimuli of everything and nothing kind of resonates, right? Or it may resonate or it may just trigger you. It just feels like there's an overflow of all of these things, actions going everywhere. And this month is almost asking us to take a pause to look at what actually aligns to me. Does that, like, even though that seems to be working for that person, I don't relate to it. I don't feel like it's authentic. I don't connect to it. I don't get it. People are almost taking their life and their perspective and their way about relating to life and kind of shaking it up like an etch-a-sketch to be and getting kind of radical with it so that we're coming back from this full well and this source of saying, this is how I actually want to lead my life. This is where I want to put my focus and my energy. This is how I want to steer my ship. I'm not too sure where this is going to bring me, what my next aligned action is, but I know this isn't it. And I know this is what I want to feel. And this is what I want to lean to. Definitely feel and see that duality. Yes, 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 absolutely. So we're looking at this kind of like overflow of clarity, but it must come from a very grounded space. So we don't want to be off into the ethers trying to figure out all this like different energies. We really want to be grounded and very focused into the energy that we're tuning into. And at the start of 25, we were starting to feel this, like a lot of focus, like where are we putting our focus? What is that very specific thing that we're tuning into? What, like, how are we, where are we directing our energy and why and why and why. And in April and May, we felt a lot of this. It was asking us to go back and to look at all those patterns, those cycles, that resistance that we were feeling. They were very tumultuous months if we were tapped into the energy on that level, whereas asking us to look at things that we thought were already buried and taken care of and put away and shoved in a box in the upper corner of our closet. And now we have to look at it again because there's more patterns coming up in different ways. So that's a lot of like April and May's energy. And June is like, okay, now I kind of understand what was going on. I can still continue to look at all these things and thrive, but now I want to anchor in and take very precise aligned actions and speak my voice around it. There's a lot of throat chakra stuff coming up in this month as well. We want to speak to what it is that we're experiencing, and nothing has to be perfect. It doesn't mean like, oh crap, I wasn't doing my work in April and May and I realized I didn't see cycles, I didn't see patterns. That's okay. You can still look at this stuff and thrive and take aligned actions and see what is being called for you to step into. Okay. Because all these things can be done simultaneously. That's what we have to know. Okay. I wanted to say there's perfect. So then what we're going to be looking at before we get into the meditation, what are we letting go of? And then what are we actually activating in this month? Um, right, yes, releasing your voice is the message. I get it. Like, I get it. I get it. There might be things that you felt that you've experienced that you're like, interesting. And it might just help you feel seen in all of this. Saying like, I felt all of this. I felt all of this and I didn't understand why. Like, why was I going through all this turmoil? I felt like things were fine. And then out of nowhere, I just felt all this inner discord and I couldn't really pinpoint why it was coming up or why I was feeling off, or there was nothing tangibly wrong in my life, but there's just this disconnect, or there was just this, upheaval of emotions. And this is what it's this new layer of patterns and recognition of the duality and why and what happens when it happens. So not just healing, but recognizing what sparks that healing. What are the actual patterns in your life that happen when you go into those quote unquote spirals, or where it kind of throws you off into the ethers. You're like, hold on a second. I was good last week. I was good the last 2 days. And now all of a sudden I feel like I'm back into the pit of whatever shadow it is. And I don't know how to get out. And it's scary. And I don't like this. And then, a few days go by, I might feel a bit later. And then the patterns come back. So it's to recognize how you operate and why these things are happening. To have this very clear awareness of what's going on in your life. Yes, 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 yes. And heaps of throat chakra stuff coming up. Yes, yes. You might even feel like as I'm speaking to it, I'm feeling like all this tingling. There's just so much coming up, asking us to speak our truth right now. And I know this sounds kind of, I don't know how else to say this without sounding cliche. I'm like, speak your truth. But like what this means is like even acknowledging it, knowing it, having that clarity within yourself, it emanates a frequency without you feeling like you have to go shout it on a mountaintop. Okay. So yes, it's speaking to it. If you're someone who's leading a space or leading an industry, yes, you definitely want to speak to it out loud. Hopefully, if you feel right for that, if you feel aligned to that. But most importantly, the throat chakra is not just about speaking stuff out into the world, although I do invite you to do so. It is very much this energy that we hold of our truth, of holding what it is that we know and gaining clarity around that and leaning into the trust around it. Okay. So this is a month where it's asking you to really let go of the fears that arise when you're asked to step into what you believe is your greater self, when you're being asked to step into a role of leadership, even if that's self-leadership, or even most importantly, self-leadership. It's to lean into, like, see the fears that come up as you're being asked to be accountable and to lean into what is authentic to you. And so we may see this, or we may even redefine what all of these things even mean. Like we're like, yeah, accountability, leadership, authenticity, these are all words that we know. But then when we live them and we embody them and we see the different ways in which they show up in our life, we're like, that's an interesting relationship. That's a different way to look at this. Very much like there's a lot of, my clients right now who are going through, they're like, great, I'm going to step into that next layer of myself and do all these big things. And I feel good with it and I feel inspired and I release some stuff and I'm just diving in. And then they're just kind of like hit with, if not in the 24 hours, in the next few hours, with all of this doubt and this fear and these filters of just paralyzing resistance. And they're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I'm like, did you not notice that you would just ask what it is that you need to let go of so that you can step into that next big layer of yourself? And then, hello, universe provides for you. And you have all of this stuff that is being brought up to the surface, overwhelming as it may be, asking you to look at what those fears actually are. It's showing you what they are. And as much as it may be overwhelming, these are the moments when I can witness it and say, oh my gosh, thank you. Because I didn't know what I didn't know, right? When we're just living a certain way, when we just go through the day to day and we just experience our life this way, we don't even know that there's another way. We just accept this as status quo. And we don't even know what we're holding on to. We're like, no, like I think I'm confident. I know that I'm this and that. Like mentally, we think that we're in that space. But then when all these emotions arise, we're like, oh my goodness, I wasn't aware of that. Or someone speaks to you and out of nowhere, you just feel immensely triggered, or you contract and you feel immensely small in the presence of someone and you don't know why. Like these are all things showing you, even though you may be in that example of being confident, you may be confident in so many spheres, but this is where your power is leaking. And this is what you must pay attention to. Doesn't mean it takes away from all the other work that you did, but this is the layer it's trying to show you to look at. Okay. So it's asking us to let go of those fears, not just because we're trying to sweep it under the rug, we're just trying to get rid of all the yucky parts of us. It's because we want to let go of it in the way of embracing, surrendering, accepting why they were there to start off with. They served a purpose. They are serving a purpose. They're there to help us. They're there to show us how we are trying to protect ourselves and how they are keeping us safe. They may also be keeping us from achieving the purpose and the impact that we want to be doing. Fair, but it's showing us exactly how we're operating, not so we can judge it, so we can understand it, so we can shift it into something that we see that our soul needs. Okay. So we want to look at the fear, we want to look at the resistance, and we want to see like any type of belief systems that come up that we're not enough, because our truth is really showing us, that we are worthy just by literally being here. Like our presence on this earth is our ticket, is our pass. It's showing us that we're inherently worthy of experiencing this life and receiving what every other person is able to receive in this life. Okay. So you want to really let go of any of those fears, the resistance. And if you have any type of like, um, I guess I would use the word kind of like repulsions, things that you try to avoid or things that you sneer at, any type of judgments, like use that as a way to really steer yourself. Like the things that would help me so much is when I was beginning mediumship and I was leaning into it and I had such a huge resistance to it. So I was like, can I just do the psychic stuff? It seems so much more fun than dabbling in this mediumship stuff. And a lot of my resistance at the beginning was because I felt like it's just like people just want entertainment. They just want to show. They don't want true transformation. They don't understand, or I felt like I was not being seen or understood, which was just all of my projections, right? But it was, and a little bit of reality in that. But it was like, people don't really get the impact or of like what we can do with mediumship, of how we can elevate the energetics, of how we can, integrate and infuse psychic work into mediumship with connecting to guides, connecting to different realms, doing energy work and healing and threading that all in to make mediumship absolutely powerful and exponential in its impact. And when I looked at all of that, kind of frustration and judgment and all of that, it showed me exactly where my path was. Like, CJ, maybe it's because you're made to pave that path, right? You're there to pave the path and to show others what that is. So you do not like what this is, and then show them what it can be. Show them your truth. Show them what you know. Instead of leaning into the fear, the resistance, feeling like others are against you or whatever the world is against you or whatever it is, or have all these fears, why don't you lead yourself and lead the path and join into that journey? Like that's what my soul was asking me to look at and to do. And I wasn't seeing what I wanted to see anywhere because I meant to pave that path. So that made sense. I was like, oh, well, that makes sense now. Like, well, I guess I'll go do this now. No, no biggie. But I meant to pave that path. So that's why it's asked. So look at where you resist, where you judge, because as much as we're there to clear it, it can also help guide us into what we're meant to be doing. Okay. And where it's meant to be leading us. So in creating of what we're here, what we're ready to accept and honor and activate through this full moon and through all of these energetics, is that we want to create this space, or we want to create this energetic space where you can tap into the blend of your soul and aspects of your higher self, so that you can tune in and lean into this truth and this leadership from within. Okay. And what you can do with this activation and this meditation is that um, you can go back each and every time and lean into this and get something different every single time. Because as you release stuff and as you lean into what this energy is showing you and offering you, and you allow yourself to feel into the energetics, the more that you will start to understand the frequency of it, create that familiarity, create that relationship with it, and then tune into the different information that it's giving you every time, like your next right step, your next right step. Okay. So I would tune into this meditation. I would see what you can get from it, but we want to lean in from not a place of analyzing, of trying to see what's coming in. I wouldn't worry like, oh, am I gonna be channeling something? Am I not? Am I gonna feel it? Like what's going on? I want you to allow this to be your experience. So some people may just feel like they're more relaxed. Some people, if they re-listen to this, may just fall asleep because they're trying to adjust. Their energetics is trying to adjust to the actual energy of the meditation. Beautiful, perfect. It's still going to have its impact. Some people will, get imagery, have this, a beautiful visual. Amazing. Some will actually feel energetics in your body. You may feel it in your chest. You may feel like a breeze on your legs, on your feet, a tingling here, tingling there. It's all working in its own way for you. And it's not about what is it that I need to create? What is it that I need to get out of this? I want you to notice what you are doing. It's not about, and this is what I'll say all the time to my students who are developing their gifts as we're trying to understand how we relate to this meditation. We're not looking at what we haven't achieved or what we aren't able to do. I wasn't able to see something. I wasn't able to feel something. I want you to see what you are getting. So it's about an awareness and a connection to self when we go through something like this. I want you to become aware of where you're feeling stuff, if you're feeling stuff, where you may feel numb, where you may feel a tingle, where you may all of a sudden at one moment feel very emotional for no reason, or feel very angry, or want to avoid the connection in and of itself. You're just like, no, I don't want to do this. Be honest and see what is going on within as we're going through the energy, because it's actually, I'm bringing through the energetic. So you're going to feel something. You're either going to feel an avoidance, you don't want to do it, you have this resistance, you might come in and out like, okay, I like this. Okay, I don't want this. No, no, no. Okay, I like this again, right? So I want you to lean into this and not try to prescribe what you're meant to feel from it. It's going to be unique for each and every one of you. And that's what I need you to know and understand about diving into this meditation. Okay. So, any questions before we dive into the meditation? This is really just a water pause for me. If not, that's okay. No problem. No problem. So I'm going to stop this recording.